Hi there, so today I'm going to share with you my technique for getting light, bouncy, fluffy, and tighter curls. Wait a minute, Michelle, I thought you said that there was nothing that makes your hair curlier than what it actually is, except for using a curling iron or a perm or something like that. I did say that, but if you want to find out what I'm talking about, then just keep watching. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I'm a licensed hairstylist with over 20 years of experience, and on this channel I use those 20 years of experience to help you have healthy, happy hair. So this video is actually going to go a little bit differently. I've already done my hair, I've styled it, and I've got these nice, bouncy, lightweight, fluffy feeling curls. And for those of you who are new here and haven't heard me say this before, my hair is coarse, it's thick, and it's very naturally heavy. So it's not very often that my hair feels lightweight. And I do have looser curls and I have some waves, and those tend to get very easily dragged down by the weight of my own hair, as well as the water in there when I'm styling. And also, you've probably heard me talking about how much I really love hard hold gels and gels with a really good strong cast, and that is still absolutely true. However, the downside to using those strong hold gels and the heavy cast is that sometimes that cast can form while my hair is still being stretched out by its own weight coupled with the weight of the water, and my curls never really get a chance to bounce up, especially some of these right here, which normally don't really do a whole lot of anything and can sometimes come out almost straight. And you'll see today I've actually got it starting into a little bit of a ringlet there, and over here on the other side. Also, definitely curlier than what it normally is when I use stronger hold gels with a cast. I still really love those, and part of the reason I diffuse my hair the way I do is because it does help lift my hair up and kind of defeat gravity while I'm drying. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit today and even kind of demonstrate it later on in the video, what I'm talking about with lifting up my hair while I'm diffusing it. And that is one of the ways that I got these nice light and fluffy bouncy curls. However, diffusing my hair like that, where I'm lifting up and taking some of the weight off and trying to defeat gravity, sometimes that gel cast can set before I get too much of a chance to do that. So one of the nice benefits and one of the things that I've been loving about lighter hold gels like this one and this one is that these allow my hair to really start to curl up and bounce up and shrink up, and allow some of these looser curls to actually curl to their fullest potential before they're set in place, because neither of these really have a very strong cast or any cast. And the two of these are also really lightweight, and they allow for a lot more bouncing up and movement and just feeling lighter overall and not being heavy or adding to the heaviness of my hair. So I have been really loving the results that I get from these. However, because they are lighter hold, they don't last as long as what I would like them to. They also don't last through the diffusing process as well. I tend to get a little bit more frizz when I'm diffusing with either one of these, and even some other products that I have that are lighter hold. I like what they do for my curls, but they do allow for some more frizz during the diffusing process, and they don't last as long or as many days as I would like them to. So this technique allows me to take advantage of what the lighter gels have to offer, while also increasing their holding power and their longevity by using a working spray. Or you could use a hairspray. However, I much prefer to use a working spray for this, because working sprays are designed to be worked with a little bit more before they set. So they don't set very quickly, they don't dry very quickly, and they give you a little bit more time to work with them, which for this technique is ideal because, again, we don't want to freeze the hair into place while it is still being dragged down by the water. Now, there are other videos I've made where I've talked about hairspray, using hairspray, and most of the time I either recommend just using it traditionally and spraying it at the very end over everything when it's all done. And I've also said to use it on wet hair just before diffusing. However, for this technique, I am going to be applying it at a different point in the styling process, and I will be showing you that later on in the video. But overall, for doing this technique, about the only thing that you're gonna need to get if you don't have it already is a hairspray or a working spray. I definitely recommend a non-aerosol spray, hairspray. However, like I said, a working spray, something that is labeled a working spray, is going to be your best bet so that you actually have time to work with it before it sets. But otherwise, as far as other products used on your hair, you can use what you typically use, unless of course you don't already have a light hold gel. However, if you do have a curl cream that also has a decent amount of hold for a curl cream, like the Evolve one that I tried that I was really impressed with, and I'll put a card to that video up here. And then also the Verb curl cream has a decent amount of hold and a very, very light cast, but not one that's really going to interfere or set too soon. And I did a review, I think, on that one a really long time ago, but that would also be good for this. So if you have a lightweight gel lying around or a light cream laying around that you overall really like it, but you don't get as much hold and longevity out of it as you'd like, then that is something that you could definitely use in this video. So other than those two things, a very light hold gel and a working spray, you don't need to buy all new products or try different products. You can use the same ones that you typically use. And overall, the styling technique can be however works best for you. I did my normal styling routine up to a certain point, and then, like I said, I'll show you that a little bit later, what I did and when I did it. However, as far as how I layered my products and using the brush styling, all that was pretty much the same. Also, the diffusing that I did was pretty much the same as well. So I'm gonna be taking you quickly through my entire routine. For those of you who are new here and haven't seen it, I'll just be probably doing a voiceover and just speeding it up or cutting through it really quickly so that you can get the gist of how everything is done. And then I will stop and explain to you when to use the hairspray, at what point you need to do it. So through the magic of editing, allow me to demonstrate what I did.
So I'm going to start off by using my weightless air dry cream from Curlsmith, and I'm going to put about that much on one side of my head, and I'm just raking it through, and then I will take about the same amount and put it on the other side of my head. And again, I just start by raking it through and getting it applied to my hair, and then I will take my brush and I will go ahead and just brush through really quickly in order to evenly distribute. Now I'm just sectioning my hair off. I start off with a section from ear to ear, and then I just put it up with a jaw clip or an alligator clip to get it out of my way. And then now I'm using the Rizos Curls Curl Cream, and I'm just going to go ahead and rake that through and apply, and use my brush first to brush it through and evenly distribute. And then I'm going to start with my brushing technique where I grab smaller sections, I brush through to smooth it out, and then I add some tension to the hair and turn it under, then shake it to get the clumps to form. And I just continue doing that with small sections until I finish all the way around. And then I move on to the middle section of my head. I kind of do 3 large sections, and I do the same thing there, pulling my hair out 90 degrees from my head. And then I move on to the top, doing the same thing there, but going straight up, which is 90 degrees from my head, in order to keep it from getting stuck to my head and get some volume. And then now I'm going to apply my gel, and I do it in 4 quadrants like I'm pointing out right here. I don't really actually section it because I don't want to break up my curl clumps. So I glaze over and kind of gently scrunch it into the hair in those general kind of quadrants like what I pointed out. So I start at the front, then I put a little more in the back, then I go ahead over to the other side and start in the front there as well, and then I move along to the back on the other side, and then I also flip over and run it over the top there too and scrunch in. And then I'm going to start diffusing my hair, and here I am lifting my hair up like I was talking about while hover diffusing at the roots and the mid lengths. and I continue like that for quite some time, usually until the cast forms, but in this technique I don't, and I'll explain that here in a minute.
So ordinarily I would diffuse my hair like that, hovering around and lifting up until a cast forms, and then once that cast is formed, I can start really bringing the diffuser in closer to my head, and sometimes I'll even bring it right up to my head and just kind of wiggle it around at the roots to really get it dry, or bring it right into my mid-lengths. However, with this technique, because these lighter weight gels tend to not really form a cast, and that's kind of what we're looking for with this technique, is for a gel that doesn't really form a good hard cast that sets really early. So I have diffused my hair to about 25 to 30% dry at this point, basically just until I started noticing that my curls were starting to really form and really shrink and pop up. And that's exactly what I want. So now this is where this technique differs from my regular routine. So I'm going to be adding some of my Aquage working spray, and I just kind of put those back there. And then I'm just gonna kind of mist it around the top, and then flip to the side and flip to the other side. And then now I'm gonna flip upside down, and then I'm gonna spray some more upside down. I'm not gonna show you that right now because as soon as I get done spraying it, I leave my head upside down and go straight back to diffusing, and then I'll go back to lifting my hair up and hover diffusing, and I'll keep doing that as my hair gets more and more dry. And as it gets more dry, I'll start bringing it in closer, but I won't start doing that until it gets past 50% dry, where I start bringing it closer to my head. And then once it's about 70% dry, that's when I'm going to cup my hair into the diffuser and start bringing it up from there. So my actual diffusing technique doesn't really change. I do all of this. It's just how long I do each of those changes a little bit. So I'm not going to take you through the whole thing. If you want to see how I diffuse my hair, or you could also check out how I did Nicole's. I did hers very similarly as well. So the only thing that really changes is how long I do each thing before I move on to the next step of my diffusing process. And for this, it takes a little bit longer before I start really moving that in there, because I don't want to be creating a lot of frizz with these lighter hold gels. However, this really does help quite a bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip my head upside down and give it a spritz, and then I'm gonna go diffuse, and I'm gonna come back and show you what we're working with. Now that it's dry, I'm gonna go ahead and use my Verb Ghost Oil and one pump, and then I'm gonna smooth it over and then scrunch like I normally do, even though there's not really any sort of cast, because the gel doesn't leave a cast, and putting the hairspray in on wet hair really doesn't leave too much of a cast. Maybe just an ever so slight one, but I don't know. I don't even know that I would really call it a cast, because it just kind of isn't. So I'm just gonna go ahead and scrunch my hair, and then I'll do a quick shake at the roots to give it a little bit of a fluff. So here's my hair all scrunched and fluffed, and as you can see, I have minimal frizz, and I was not the least bit gentle when I was fluffing my hair, because I love how nice and light and fluffy my hair feels right now. And then, like I was mentioning earlier, that doing this technique and applying the hairspray at that point when I did really helps to tighten up the curls. Not so much to where you're getting tighter curls than you actually have, but I'll show you in one spot where I tend to have issues. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that this spot and similarly over here tend to be a lot less curly, and they're still less curly than some other parts, but they're curlier than what they normally are, because the light gel allowed for them to bounce up, and they weren't set in place before they got a chance to do that. So their laziness was kind of defeated. And part of the reason why they get lazy is because they are looser curls, and I've got also some waves, and some of my stuff underneath, like this, all of this underneath is usually much wavier and less curly overall. And yeah, there's still some waves and stuff in there too, but everything is definitely a lot tighter than what it normally is. And that's mostly because my hair just didn't get a chance to give up and be lazy when fighting against gravity, because the lighter hold gel helped it all to kind of bounce up. And then putting the hairspray in when I did, after everything started to bounce up, really helps lock that in and help to further bring it up. So I really love this, and I love the way that my hair feels nice and lightweight and bouncy. And that is more of a feel thing. Like, that's not something that you're gonna be able to see so much, but that's something that I can actually feel, is just how lightweight my hair feels when I use a lighter weight gel, and then I use the hairspray for more hold and longevity. And using a combination like this, I can very easily last for 3 days without having to refresh. And even if I had to refresh, simply using some steam on my hair with that hairspray in there is enough to activate that working spray and get everything back to where it needs to be. So even though I haven't featured this technique before on here, this is definitely a technique that I am loving and plan to use a lot more frequently whenever it is that I'm not doing my hair for the channel, which doesn't happen a whole lot. But I do really like how this looks. Hopefully you learned something and maybe you're gonna give this a try. I really think that people with fine hair that have an issue with their hair getting very easily weighed down and stretched out, especially when it's wet or with products in it, are probably gonna like this as well. Now, this isn't gonna work for absolutely everybody because everybody's hair is different, and that's why there's so many different techniques. But if there are any of you out there who give this a try, please let me know in the comments down below after you've tried it out, and let me know how it worked out for you, if it was something that worked, didn't work. So that is gonna conclude my video for today. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content like this, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell while you're at it. Or if there's any questions, comments, or if there's anything that you'd like to see, please leave those down below in my comment section. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye.